It's a hard world out there for young people who are trying to date. I feel bad for them. My friend caught my other friend's husband on a dating app. And I was like, please tell me you screenshot it.
Every relationship, given enough time, will have some issue at some point. For me, you have to be able to communicate, compromise, and work through that issue if you want to.
Sometimes I walk around the house and I'm just like, why do I have so much crap? Like, I buy everything. I am so easily influenced. I just pour myself a glass of wine and go through my Instagram and my TikTok. And if any ads are shown to me during that time, like, I'm gonna buy it.
There are times where you're overwhelmed with work, and there are going to be moments, days, maybe even weeks where you're not in the mood or like not up for romance. How do you handle those kind of dry spells? What do you think is too long for a dry spell?
This hits close to home because before we dive into today's episode, I have something so special that I want to share with you guys. My book, Joy Prescriptions, is available for pre-order now. I have been working on this project for over 2 years, and I'm so excited that it's finally coming to life. I wrote this book because I used to be stuck in a cycle of perfectionism, people-pleasing, trying to check off all the boxes. And quite frankly, it left me feeling empty and burned out. That's when I started my own joy journey to figure out what really brings me joy, which is connection, laughter, and purpose. And I want to share this with all of you. The reason the book is called Joy Prescriptions is because at the end of each chapter, I actually write a joy prescription for you to start living your life more authentically and with more joy. So pre-order the book today and check out in the show notes my book tour. I am going to 7 cities across America, and I hope that you will come out to see me, give me a hug, take a selfie, and talk about all things joy. Hope to see you soon.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Scrubs and Stilettos. I'm Dr. Nicole Martin, and I am being joined by...
Hi, guys. It's Dr. Tiffany Moon, and we are so happy to be back with another episode of Scrubs and Stilettos.
Today, we are talking about a topic that is near and dear to everyone's hearts. Last week, we had an amazing conversation with Dr. C, but we really focused on friendships. I learned a lot from that conversation, Tiff.
Yeah, for sure.
But today we're going to shift the focus more from friendships and our girl relationships to our romantic relationships. And Tiffany, you've been with your husband for a while.
We met in 2008 and got married in 2012. So we just celebrated our 13-year wedding anniversary. What about you?
Lucky number 13. Anthony and I have been together. We met in 2016, so a little shy from a decade.
Okay, so we both passed the 7-year itch, right? Because there's this thing called the 7-year itch. I don't know who made it up, but it's out there. You can Google it or whatever. And I think a lot of people, don't make it around that time. There's also, I guess, an epidemic of divorces going around right now. Like, I have a lot of friends that are getting a divorce, or they just recently got divorced and they're dating again. And I'm like, oh my God, girl, if I had to start dating again in my 40s, I do not know what I would do. But today, we are focusing on our romantic relationships with our partners. And we're going to give you a little bit of our 2 cents on how we keep the flame burning in our marriages, maybe some points of contention that we have within our marriage, and just lay it all out.
I love that. But before we dive in, make sure you guys hit the follow, subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And it also helps us to reach more amazing listeners like yourselves. I always like to start off the episodes, Tiff, with a little weekly obsession or some spilling the tea on something that might have happened to us, some celebrity gossip. I actually had a very scary episode with Genevieve. I briefly mentioned it to you via text message, but I'll share it with our listeners. So I have a 10-month-old baby girl. Her name is Genevieve. And my son recently turned 6. And we were all sitting on the living room floor. Genevieve was on my lap, and we were unwrapping gifts that my son had received for his birthday. And Genevieve, I in a matter of seconds, must have grabbed some tissue paper that was on the floor and stuck a wad of tissue paper in her mouth. And I didn't see her do this. They're so quick at that age. They're like little ninjas, you know? She stuck the wad of tissue paper and she started gagging. You know, when tissue paper gets wet, it becomes like this like matted glue ball. So she started gagging right away and she was like, ugh, ugh, and I could tell she was starting to obstruct. And I looked at her and she was, I swear, Tiff, she was starting to turn blue. You know how quickly babies can like desat? Thank God I stayed calm, and we obviously have experience in ACLS and BLS. I immediately turned her over and I gave her 3 big back thrusts and the wad of tissue paper came flying out. But in the meantime, Anthony was freaking out. He was like on the phone trying to call 911 because he didn't know what was happening. You know, I think he's not medically trained. But it just like reinstated the importance, of making sure to stay calm during an emergency. But I think for people who aren't in the medical field, it's so critical when you have kids to at least learn the basics of life support. I know all the local hospitals offer these courses for free. If not, you can find someone that'll come to your house for a pretty nominal fee and teach you. But knowing how to do the Heimlich in adults, knowing how to do back thrusts if you have kids is so crucial, guys. So this is a little like personal mishap and it can happen to anybody. Kids are always putting things in their mouth, but making sure you know how to respond in those situations is so important. Because if I wouldn't have done that, I don't know what would have happened, to be honest. It's very scary.
No, that's so scary. And y'all, I mean, you can learn anything on what I call YouTube University. Like take a few minutes after you finish this podcast and literally like go to YouTube and type in like how to do the Heimlich maneuver in kids and how to do it in adults. Because in kids, like, you know, Dr. Nicole said, you have to flip them over and it's not gentle. I mean, if
no, girl, I thought I broke her ribs because I went like full force to try to get that thing out and it came flying out with such pressure, but it takes some good, it's a good whacking back there. So
you're like, I promise I'm not abusing my child. I'm trying to save her life. And just Google, and same for an adult, you know, especially if they're a bigger adult, like a 200-pound man, you got to get behind them, put here, like in the epigastric area and like, you know, but if you've ever seen, I don't know why I have the weirdest TikTok things show up on my feed. But I saw someone, the camera at a restaurant caught it and it was this huge guy, like he was like 250 pounds and this small woman comes up behind him and she like did the Heimlich and it's the food, it literally comes flying out.
So you guys, whether you go to your local hospital, you hire someone to come to your house and teach the family, or you go to YouTube University, it is so important to know the basics. And there's even a way, if you're choking, to do it on yourself with the back of a chair. You can do like these abdominal thrusts to kind of like self-Heimlich. But point is, after you finish listening to Scrubs and Stilettos, go onto YouTube and make sure you learn how to do the Heimlich.
Yes. I mean, we're just over here saving lives. I mean, we save lives at work. We save lives on this podcast. I mean, I'm just saying
But you know what? I don't want to do it at home, guys. That was really just, I cried so much after she was okay. I felt so guilty. I was like, how did I let her grab this paper? Like, and I was moving all the toys because in my mind, I was thinking little pieces. I didn't even think about tissue paper. It was a rough day in the Martin household, but you know what? Genevieve is okay, and it became a good teaching point for our listeners. So
yeah, did you take her in after that, or like she was completely fine? There was no reason to have her assessed after that.
So I called the pediatrician. You know, yes, we still call the pediatricians, and I explained to them what happened, and I said, you know, do I need to take her in? Is there anything special I should do? And he said that as long as she was like normal, reactive, like there was no reason to bring her in. He was like, I would give her just a break. Don't give her anything by mouth for a little bit, like let everything kind of just like settle. But she was fine after that.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary.
I know. Never a dull moment with children.
Never a dull moment ever. Okay, let's move on to my weekly obsession, which I don't know. I sometimes I walk around the house and I'm just like, why do I have so much crap? Like I buy everything. I am so easily influenced. Like, especially Well, okay. Generally, when I'm on social media is at night after I put the girls to bed and I'm having like my nightly glass of Cabernet. Like, this is a habit. I'm not saying it's a good habit, but I'm saying it's what I do. That's my me time. My husband is watching whatever sports is on, or, he's getting ready for the, night. And I just pour myself a glass of wine and go through my Instagram and my TikTok. And if any ads are shown to me during that time, like, I'm gonna buy it.
Well, they've also made it so easy, right? Like all of these apps like Shopify and all these things that have your credit card pre-programmed Instagram, it's just like, oh, I like this, purchase now. Your address, everything's already pre-programmed. You don't even think about it. It's just like, come to my house, show up.
Okay, but this is actually my current obsession. So I sent you some.
Yes, what scent is that? Is that the amber one?
Opulent amber.
Oh, it's so good. Guys,
Yes.
It smells like, that when you walk into like a luxury hotel and you're instantly greeted by like this yummy smell that you wish your house smelled like? This is how you make your house smell like a luxury hotel. It is so good.
My friend said that it's a little bit like Baccarat Rouge, which it has
Right.
like
It gives that vibe.
It has that vibe, but I'm like, mine is better. This is actually the luxury collection of my candle company, because the original ones that I made are all named after anesthesia drugs.
Which I love, by the way.
Like
So cute.
Fall candle, like Versed candle, succinylcholine candle. But like, if you're not in the medical field, people are like, I don't get it. Like, I can't even pronounce the word. Like, it's like dexmedetomidine. People are like, what the, So then I came out with the luxury collection that is completely different. It's in a black jar. The other ones are like in a glass jar. And these are like the more elevated, sophisticated scents. So we call it the Luxe collection.
What I loved is how long the scent lingers afterward, right? Because sometimes you like light a candle and it smells for like 2 seconds, but then you lose the smell. This really makes your house smell so lovely. You did a really great job with them. Way to go.
Okay, so transitioning into our topic today, which is relationships. I have trained my husband to know what mood I am in based on what candle I have burning when he gets home.
Okay, so he's like Pavlov, like the dog.
Literally, my husband is trained. I don't even know if he knows that he's trained, but there's one that I burn when I'm working in the office that's like, it's citrus scented. And so citrus is sort of like an upper for me, gets me going, grapefruit, bergamot, like that kind of thing. And then I have this jasmine bamboo one, which is like if I'm more in a calm mood. And then this opulent amber one. And I also have one called obsidian suede that has like leather notes. I don't know if I sent you that.
Let me guess. That means you're in the
That
mood.
is sexy time.
That's sexy time?
Is sexy time. Like, if it smells like leather in the bedroom, like, it's about to go down. Like, put the kids to sleep, get the glass of wine ready. Like, he knows it's about to go down.
I love that. I love that you have like an instant way for him to know that when he gets home, he's going to get some.
Yeah, but then if a certain other one is burning, it's like, forget about it. Like, if my hair, like, I had a bad day at work, I got in a fight with someone, I'm stressed out, like, things aren't going well for the business. I don't know what it is, but he knows. So I just basically like speak to my husband through candle.
Listen, whatever works, because let's be honest, after 16 years, 13 years, however many years you guys have been together, 2 kids, I don't know how many different roles and jobs you have, Tiff, it gets hard to keep the romance alive. So I think that's why today's episode is going to resonate with so many people, because, sometimes it can feel like an Olympic sport, juggling motherhood and work and life and romance and all these things. It's hard. So let's do a little rapid fire questions. I love these. All right, so I'm going to get started. What is the one thing you would say instantly attracts you to your partner? Like an instant, like, ooh.
My love language is gifts. So that sounds very superficial, but like, if he surprises me with like a nice gift, I'm like, oh, like, that's so thoughtful. Like, I don't know. I'm not big on words of affirmation or acts of service. It doesn't ring my bell in that way. So I love a good gift and like a nice dinner and spending time together.
Okay.
What about you? Same question.
So, I mean, who doesn't like gifts? But honestly, that's not like my thing, right? I love when Anthony like pays attention to something, right? Like it can be like the smallest thing. Like if I went and I got my hair done and I come in and he like doesn't notice, I'm a little like, "Aw." So like for him to be like, "Oh wow, honey, you cut your hair," or like, "Wow, babe, like you've been working out. You're looking lean and toned." Like for someone to notice and like truly pay attention, like to me, that's like, oh my god, like it's so I don't know. So I'm a words of affirmation girl. That is my love language. But funny enough, Anthony's speaks the language of gifts. Like
Oh.
that's how he shows love. He's like, "I'm sorry, like, yeah, I didn't notice your hair." He's like, "But I knew you wanted this watch and I scoured the earth and I brought it from like Germany and here's your watch." Like for him, that's how he shows his love.
Oh, can he talk to my husband? Because Daniel has no clue. Like,
How does Daniel show love?
I think his is acts of service. It's very nice. One of my girlfriends just turned 40. And so we had this big birthday bash. And I was like, don't wait up, babe, because it's going to be a long night. And, I'm normally in bed by like 9:30. But for my girlfriend's 40th birthday, like I'm going to show out. So we went out, bought a table, had this nice dinner, all this stuff. I, of course, partook in too many martinis. And then, of course, she wanted a round of shots or whatever. So I was a little tipsy, to say the least. I get home. This is maybe TMI, but he has a bucket next to my bed,
Oh,
for in
he was
case.
like anticipating the disaster.
A glass of water and 2 Advil.
Oh, but you see that Daniel and I we vibe, and I feel like you and Anthony vibe. But
Yeah.
this is the point. Like it's important to when you're in a long-term relationship to acknowledge that sometimes the love language you speak or you want to be spoken to is not the same that your partner speaks. Right. And sometimes you just have to be like, okay, so I wish he would buy me whatever, but look how cute. This is really thoughtful.
It was really sweet, and he's really sweet. I think, ultimately, I think what makes our relationship and marriage work is that we have a mutual respect for one another. And look, sometimes we disagree on things. Sometimes they're small things and sometimes they're bigger things. But even when we disagree on something fundamentally, I can still try to see his side of it and I respect his opinion.
I don't think that relationships are about agreeing 100% of the time, right? That would actually be really boring if you guys
No.
were always like agreeing. But I think there has to be a respect and a willingness to have conversations, right? So that when we don't agree on something, we can talk it through. There can't be this assumption that I'm always right and that my opinion is the only one that matters. There has to be a willingness to compromise or a willingness to talk about things.
Yeah, I think that's probably, sometimes people ask me for relationship advice and they're like, oh, what do you think makes your marriage successful? Like, why do you guys work out? And I think one is the ability to compromise. And then two, which every, marriage therapist is going to say is like communication, so I now tend to be like an overly communicative person because the times in our marriage that we've had difficulty before is like when somebody assumes something and then of course that assumption is incorrect and then you get a little further down the road and then it blows up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean there definitely has to be a willingness to have these conversations and to compromise. And that's why when I hear people say like, "Oh, my soulmate," or this like relationships should be easy. I don't think any relationship is easy. I think if you're in a relationship long enough, there's going to be hard moments and you have to be committed to work through them. I'm the type of person, I don't know about you, but I don't think the grass is greener on the other side. I think the grass is greener where you water it, right? Wherever you are giving your attention and your effort, it will, in general, thrive. So I'm not one of these people that just thinks relationships should be easy. I think any relationship, whether it's romantic, business, friendship, it takes work and effort.
Yes, I agree. But also, relationships should not be that hard. I have some girlfriends and they are just having a hard time. They're always arguing and stuff. And I'm like, girlfriend, it shouldn't be that hard. Like some days are hard as a whole. But do you ever have friends where like you see the path of their relationship or you're almost hoping that they break up because their partner is just so toxic or they bring out the worst in a person? It's so funny how who you're with brings out a certain side of you. And I always say, like this joke, like, oh, he's my better half or whatever. But I truly believe that because when I'm with my husband, I tend to be more patient, more kind. Like he lets me be myself and I feel vulnerable enough around him that I think I get to be like the best version of myself. Whereas in previous relationships, like that was probably not true. My immediate ex before my husband was also a doctor. He was my intern when I was in MS3 on internal
Oh.
medicine. I know, a hospital romance, but it wasn't like that. I mean, that's how we met. But we didn't start dating until, after my rotation and stuff like that. And he literally brought out the worst in me. Like I was jealous, I was controlling, we had trust issues, but he did things to make me not trust him. And then I got more distrustful and jealous. It's like it
It was
becomes
a
this.
vicious cycle.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and when I say that the grass isn't greener on the other side, it's where you water it. I don't mean that you should stay in a toxic relationship. There are certainly relationships that no matter how much water you put into that relationship, it's a bad relationship. And if overall you're in that relationship and you're not happy or satisfied with yourself, that's not a relationship to stay in no matter how much effort you put into it. There are always, I think, going to be ebbs and flows in a relationship. There's going to be moments where things are great and you're thriving, and then there's going to be moments where you're like surviving, and maybe things aren't so great. And you have to kind of like push through that, because there aren't going to be great days all the time. So I think there needs to also be like a commitment. I feel like nowadays it's just become, we're like a society of instant gratification, right? It's swipe left, swipe right. Your groceries are at the door in like 20 seconds. Things get delivered overnight. We have this like need to just like, if something's not working, I want something new. And that effort, that desire to commit and like continue to work at something, it just doesn't exist like it used to. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I know what you're meaning. Like our parents' generation, I feel like they like stuck it out more. Like till death do us part
It's
for
not
four.
always good, right? Sometimes you need to leave a situation, but I
Sure,
think the pendulum has swung to the other extreme where
correct.
people are just like, I don't like the way he chews. He gave me the ick. I'm out. Like,
Well,
what?
hopefully we haven't gotten married by that point. I mean, dating is a whole nother thing. Like when I talk to my residents and medical students, because I'm kind of a mentor to them, sometimes we'll talk about personal issues and they'll, talk to me about guys that they're dating and stuff like that. And I don't know, it's a hard world out there for young people who are trying to date. Like I feel bad for them. Like everything's on the internet and oh girl, my friend caught my other friend's husband on a dating app. And I was like, please tell me you screenshot it, please. And she was like, what do I do with this information? Like, her husband is legit. Like, I saw him. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, okay, so do you tell her?
Yeah, girl,
Um,
you gotta tell her. You can't have her husband being on a dating app and not tell your
I'm
friend.
I was like, if you're close to her, then you have to tell her, like, put yourself in her shoes. You know what I mean? Like, if it were my husband, like, you better tell me, you know what I mean? And she's like, oh, but she's going to shoot the messenger and all this stuff. So, I mean, we could do a whole nother hour on cheating and infidelity currently, which technology now makes so easy.
Yeah, it's a hard world. Well, that's why I think people's willingness to put in effort has gone down because it is so easy to meet someone else. You're on these apps and you're like, oh, whatever, I don't really like this
Oh, she's
guy.
acting up. She's being difficult. Let me just get back on the app and find a new chick.
Correct. So I think people's willingness to work through issues maybe isn't where it used to be. And my whole point is that every relationship given enough time will have some issue at some point.
Of course.
And so for me, you have to be able to communicate, compromise, and work through that issue if you want to maintain a relationship for the long haul.
Yes, I think that's completely true. And everyone's level of tolerance for that is different. Some people are willing to put up with way more than others. But I think there needs to be an expectation that there's going to be hard times. And just when you're going through a hard time isn't the time to like tap out and look for someone new.
Agreed. But talking about hard times, there are times where, you know, you're overwhelmed with work. You have your book coming out, so I'm sure you're super busy with that. And there are going to be moments, days, maybe even weeks, right, where you're not in the mood or like not up for romance. And how do you handle those kind of dry spells? What do you think is too long for a dry spell? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
This hits close to home because I've just been so stressed lately. And it's like, okay, look, on a normal day, right? I leave the house at like 6:20, 6:30, get to the operating room. I'm there until between 4 to 5. I get home. The kids need help with their homework. Sometimes they have tennis. Sometimes they have gymnastics. I'm driving them around, shuttling them around. Dinner's on the table usually at 6:30. We clean up. Homework, snuggles, bath time, maybe a little screen time if everything's done. The kids are in bed by 8:30. And then sometimes I have to get back on the computer because there were just things that I didn't get to because I was in the OR all day and I'm still trying to run multiple businesses and things are going on. So sometimes, you know, I'm back in the study from 8:30 until 11:30. And then I go to the bedroom and Daniel wants to hanky panky. And I'm just like, I'm not in the mood for hanky panky. Like
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted. But you know, that's not every night. You know, I'm not in the study from 8:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. every night, but it is more nights than I would like to admit. And that's one of the things I'm trying to change this year. But it's just like sometimes in life, like everything is happening all at the same time. It's like, oh, I have the kids. Of course, I have my doctor job, but I'm also trying to launch my book right now, which comes out in May. So, you know, I'm doing all these podcasts. I'm trying to make social media content related to the book, trying to send out a newsletter to offer additional value to people who buy the book. Like it's all work, right? And it's not stuff that I can necessarily like delegate to other people. Cause I always say, like, as a busy working mom, and when I coach my private coaching clients, I always tell them, I'm like, delegate as much as you can. And I don't want to hear any guilt about it. Like, you do not need to be folding the laundry, washing the dishes, doing that. You know what I mean? Like, only do the things that you can do. But as it relates to my business and my book and putting my children to bed, like, those are all things that I have to do.
And you can't delegate the hanky panky part.
Girl, if we could delegate to Hank, look, babe, there are two things that I have not figured out how to delegate. One of them is hanky panky, although some would argue that that is delegatable. And two is working out. Like, girl, if I could pay somebody to go to the gym and get me a toned body and all that stuff, like, I would hire that in a heartbeat. So, and some days, I don't know if you feel this way. I'm perimenopausal, right? I'm in my 40s. Certainly I still have some levels of hormones, but I think they've declined. And I'm going to be real with you. Like, my libido is not good right now. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm so stressed out and have so many things to do.
You're doing 1,000 things a day. By the time you get home, you're physically exhausted. You're mentally and emotionally drained. It's really hard to tap into that I feel sexy, like, let's get it on mode. You know, your cup is empty at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. So it's hard to tap into that. I mean, I totally agree. Our weeks are insane. Similar to you, I'm out the door by 6:30. By the time I get home from work, it's 4:30-ish. You got to do the homework. If they have some extracurricular activity, you got to do that. Then you got to come home, get dinner ready, feed them, bathe them, put them to bed. Like, I don't finish the kid routine until 8:30-ish at night. And by then I got to take a shower. And so by the time I get into bed, it's 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes I get into bed and Anthony's exhausted from his day. He's already asleep.
Oh, great. If he's
So I'm like, okay, well, like, there goes that idea. So to be honest, sometimes I find that being intimate during the week is incredibly difficult. Like for us, like our majority of our intimacy happens like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just because those are the days where we tend to like slow down some. And then there are weekends where like we can't even get to it because we've got like birthday parties, we're traveling, we're doing 101 things. Sometimes he's out of town, I'm out of town. So it's hard. And it was funny. We were preparing for today's episode and we were sitting on the beach yesterday. I was kind of like going through our notes and I started asking him, I said, you know, how many times a week do you think the average American like has sex? And he was like, well, I don't think they're having sex every week. He's like, maybe like sometimes twice, maybe once. He's like, I think it's going to be 30. Like that was the number that he thought, 30 times a year.
Oh, a year. I was like,
so like
a week. Sorry.
No, so he said that people aren't having sex every week because sometimes you get busy. So he says at least once every 2 weeks. Sometimes, you know, you do it twice a week. So he thought that 30 times a year was the average American married couple's sex count. What do you think?
You know,
I
average.
looked this up, so I have the answer.
Oh, okay. I love this. And this is like self-reported, right? So like, who knows?
And then I'll give you the kind of the breakdown of where these numbers came from. But
if you ask a man to answer a survey question about how often he has sex, I bet you it's overinflated, just like his height on his driver's license. You know what I'm saying, boo?
Yeah, girl. It's like our weight. Except
realistically, and also this is like married couples. Well, what kind of married couples? Married first year, second year, newlyweds?
Well, it's an average, right? So that's what you
like me, like married 13 years, you know. I think Anthony, as an average, I think that's reasonable. I would say if you had asked me and I didn't look this up, I would say once a week. So I would go 50-ish times per year.
So I think it was 56, if I'm not mistaken. And this was a study done like in 2017. So 56. So yes, people are averaging sex about once a week. And then obviously you pulled a wide variety of people. So the people in their like 20s and 30s that were married young, they were having sex like 70 times a year on average. And then as you went a decade up, 30 to 40s, they went down and they were like in their 50s, 60s. And then obviously as you got older, it went down to like 30s and 40s. But yeah, you're going to have weeks overall where you're not doing it. And then you have a wonderful vacation and you do it every day a week, every day of the vacation, sometimes twice a day.
Yes.
So it all like balances out. But
it does.
What do you think is too long for a dry spell?
I mean, I don't think there's such a thing as too long if both partners are in agreement. I think that's the thing. I think if one person wants it and the other one continually doesn't, it's going to present a problem in your marriage. But some people are, I have a friend and I just think he's like asexual. At least that's how I like to think of him, you know? But everyone's libido is different. So if you are in a marriage where like once a month is what they are doing, but both people are happy with that, then that's perfect. Like as long as both people are happy. And then I have friends that do it like almost every day. And I'm like, you can't. How? I actually had this conversation with a couple of girlfriends, you know, on a wine night a couple of months ago. And one of them out of like the 6 of us said that she has sex 5 times a week with her husband. And the rest of us were all like, get out of here. Like, who has time for that?
Did you not watch this last season of The Real Housewives of Miami? I had a castmate that said she had sex 5 times a night with her husband. I was like,
I do remember this. I didn't. Okay, this is the thing with Housewives. Like,
how is that even possible? Like,
I don't like watch it. But sometimes, like, I'll be in the gym and I'll play it on Peacock or something. You know, the episodes, and so I'm like kind of listening. And once in a while, if something really juicy is going on, I'll like stop my workout and like watch it for a couple of minutes. But I do, now that you mentioned it, I do remember this because it also showed up on social media, and I think that might be an embellishment of the truth to have sex 5 times a night.
I mean, even Cardi B commented on it and was like,
oh, what
girl,
did she say?
She said something like, girl, if you're having sex 5 times a night, like your vagina would fall out. You know, like she was basic. So for Cardi B to be like, that's a lot of sex, you know that's a problem. I mean, I wouldn't even be able to walk the next day. Like, how do you function 5 times a night?
That's outrageous. And I don't know if she said that like in jest. I don't know the context in which it was said, or if she said it with like a deadpan face and was actually serious. But we would need some corroboration. Did her partner corroborate this story, or did he not
present to corroborate? But it was definitely an aggressive number. I'm not having sex 5 times a night, nor am I having sex 5 times a week. Those are those numbers, I can't meet those demands.
Look, if you are having sex 5 times a week, like more power to you.
God bless. I wish I had the time and the energy.
Yeah, and okay, maybe this is me being a sourpuss, but like, I don't really want to have sex 5 times a week. I love my husband. I would do anything for my husband, but like, we've been together for 16 years, okay? Like, I don't really have that many new tricks, to be honest. Like, you know, sometimes this
You're not getting creative, Tiffany? You're not like dressing up like a like a fairy or something.
I have some La Perla, like a lacy little number. Look, if I have like lace lingerie on and we have obsidian suede Lux candle burning, like it's about to go down. But also, like, it kind of takes me a while. Like, I'm not just like raring to go. And you know, in the movies where they come home from dinner and clothes are being taken off, like they can't even make it to the bedroom. Like, I'm sorry, y'all.
That's not happening after this many years.
I'm going to be honest with you. We don't do that. We don't take our clothes off. I'm not like being pushed against the wall and like, you know what I mean?
No, that stuff happens like in new relationships in general.
Yes.
I mean, maybe if you're on vacation or something, but overall you are not like taking your clothes off as you walk into the house because you can't make it to the bedroom because you're so excited. Like, that's not happening anymore.
I mean, look, if anyone wants to DM me or drop a comment on my post about ways to keep it spicy, but you know, there's like role playing, toys. We could have a whole conversation about toys.
Toys are always fun.
You know, flirting. I do love flirting. Like I miss flirting with my husband. You know, like back early when we were dating before we got married, even those first 2 newlywed years before kids came in the picture, just kind of flirting and being coy or, you know, sexting him like, can't wait to see you tonight or something like that.
I still do that, by the way. Like, if I feel like I still do that. So I'm wait for me.
I need some pointers. This is a lot of this is my fault.
But you see, like, if I feel like, okay, things have kind of been a little bit like stagnant, sometimes I will, like, you know, send him a sexy text or a sexy picture. And I'll be like, you know, can't wait to see you later. Because I do think that, you know, to our point, after time, things kind of get a little bit like more mundane, a little more boring. You kind of lose that spice. So I do think that, you know, sending a sexy text or like a sexy message can kind of like get them going a little bit. And it kind of excites you too to kind of be a little naughty. And I think that date nights, you alluded to this, that you miss flirting. I think date nights are so important. I don't know about you guys, but Anthony and I try to do one date night a week. It's usually Friday night. Like, you know, he'll plan business meetings, whatever, during the week, but it is like a given that Friday nights we are going out to like a nice dinner. We usually have a great bottle of wine. And there's something that exciting about getting dressed up for a date night. And sometimes he'll go straight from the office. So I'll meet him at the bar of the restaurant and like walking in separate and having that cocktail and like flirting or whatnot. Like, I think that that's important in maintaining that spark.
Yes, I agree. The problem is that half the time on date night, I'm like talking logistics with him and like telling him about, you know, all the things I did or, you know, the children and their upcoming things. And, you know, it's just because it's like that's the only FaceTime I got with him that week because we're both so busy and I've been traveling so much. And, you know, date night back before the children used to be like, you know, a little bit about work, but also like, I don't know, current events and what are your dreams and hopes and aspirations, or where should we travel to next? And now it's like the focus of the conversations is different. Do you find that to happen at all?
Well, yeah, because I think now there's like so many things that we have to like check off of the bucket list, and you have such a limited amount of time. So yeah, sometimes during our date night, we end up talking like family business is what I call it, like scheduling and what are we doing next? And Grayson has a soccer game and we have to buy this and like all of that stuff. But I try to make it a point during date nights to kind of talk about things other than family business, how just to keep that kind of like romance alive, because it's so easy to get stuck in like the hamster wheel of like work, kids, that you have to kind of make a conscious effort, I think. So Tiff, next time you and Daniel go out to date night, like no kid talk.
I know. It's like, hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Like all of this is me. Like I'm exhausted. My libido is low. I keep bringing up logistics. So we're in a little bit of a rut right now, to be honest. But like, it's fine. It'll come out. Also like I'm in the middle of launching my first ever book. Like, so, okay, sorry, like, having hanky panky is not like on the top of my priority list. You know what I mean? But like, it's going to come back around. And also, I was talking to my therapist about this and I was like, oh, is this going to be a problem? And she said the telltale sign of like how good your relationship is in terms of your intimacy is when y'all go on vacation. How is it? And I was like, oh, it's great because I'm not working. I'm not stressed. The kids aren't around. Sometimes like if it rains or thunders or there's a tornado, something here, my kids come into my bed and sleep with me because they're scared.
But that's totally norm, Tiff, because even in our house, Anthony is definitely the one that has a busier schedule, like carries a bigger workload. His firm, like 300 plus people. So he's always managing like 101 things. And vacation Anthony is a very different version than home Anthony.
Me too.
Because he's distracted. His phone is on do not disturb. He's not dealing with that stuff. So he's much more emotionally connected and much more present. And we always find that those vacations are like a great reset for us as a couple. And it's normal. It's normal to have those ebbs and flows. It's normal for your relationship to kind of like take a little hit if you've got something else like your book launch coming up. I think that being cognizant of, like aware of it and, willing to work through it are two huge, positives that you have going for you, because you're aware of it and you know that at some time you're going to come out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So like immediately after the book launch, I've booked a little couples vacay for us.
I love that for you
guys. My mom, who lives nearby, usually when we're both traveling, she'll come to the house and like stay with the dogs and the kids and all that kind of stuff. So I've already put in a favor with mom to come that weekend.
Good for you. You see, today you're surviving, tomorrow you'll be thriving. That's what I say. You just got to stick to it and water that grass, girlfriend.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny.
Speaking of like relationship and things to do with men, I recently saw something on social media, which I thought was interesting, and I want to hear your take on it. So Dave Asprey, he's like the founder of Bulletproof. He's kind of like a big guy in the biohealth hacking space. He's been discussing this idea of semen retention, where basically he's recommending men to hold off on ejaculation because he believes that this is going to help raise testosterone levels, raise like male motivation, and also create more like intimacy with your partner. Apparently, when a man ejaculates, their testosterone level transiently decreases for like a day or so after they ejaculate. And so the idea is if you hold back on doing that, your testosterone levels will increase. He doesn't go into details on when you're supposed to hold off on ejaculation. I don't know if this means masturbation or not climaxing. But I'm going to have a serious problem if I'm having sex with my man and he's not climaxing. I'm just saying.
Then how do we know we're done?
So I get it in concept, in theory, but have you heard about this?
Okay, y'all can't. No, I have not heard about this. Y'all can't hear me if you're not watching this on video. But I was silent because my mouth was open and I was confused. So, okay, there's so many things I want to discuss here. First of all, semen retention is not a thing. Like, semen is cheap. Like,
It's free
you make it every day.
by
It's
the millions.
by the millions. All you need is one good swimmer and semen. It's not, eggs are what has value. Semen, who cares about semen? So first of all, you don't need to retention your semen because we don't care about it that much. It's not of high value. Second of all, logistically, because I'm a logistics kind of gal. That's how my brain operates. What exactly are you supposed to do? Like have intercourse, but then not climax? And what are you going to do? Like, it's hard not to climax. Like, I mean, isn't that the whole point? Isn't it not
I
feel
don't know.
good?
For me, I think it's like it. I want to see my partner climax. I take
Correct.
pride in doing that, right? Like,
I
yeah,
would
I
do,
did that. I'm
yeah,
gonna have a problem
I
if you're
did
not.
that.
I'm gonna be like, sir, what am I doing wrong that you are not?
Yes. I mean, it's almost like, in a handful of situations in life when he goes soft in the middle and you're like, oh my God, did I like fart or something? Did I turn him off? Do I smell bad?
Yeah,
Or
like you're gonna take it
like,
personal.
right. Like, I don't know who Dave Asprey is. I feel like the name, but an image
I'm
of
sure you've
him,
seen him on like
I'm sure
Instagram
he's
or TikTok with like
a
the
very big
biohacks.
deal. I'm sure he's a very big deal, but I am going to have to respectfully disagree on
We're gonna see if we can link a clip to it for you guys to watch. But maybe he's not referring to like climaxing during intercourse, more so like because there's some guys that are masturbating or jerking off like every day or multiple times a day. And so then maybe that at some point is creating an intimacy problem, right? Like if you're going all the time, then maybe you're just like not in the mood when
I
it comes down
mean,
to having your
if you're doing the 5-finger knuckle shuffle and watching porn, that's a whole
you
other
just
problem.
call it that. You
Girlfriend,
did
that's
not.
a whole nother episode. That's, you're not, that's not intimacy, you with a bottle of Neutrogena shampoo, like getting it off and watching porn. That's not intimacy. That's just, I don't know what that is. And look, I believe in sexual health. I'm not shaming anyone for masturbating. Like sometimes you don't have a sexual partner and you need to release. So like I'm by no means shaming masturbation. I think you should. I think women should too, to get to know yourself and what feels good or whatever. So that's not where I was going with that. But it's just, and then who did these studies that like after you ejaculate your testosterone? I mean, yes, maybe your testosterone goes down because your testosterone was high while you were like
Correct.
horny trying
It's
to
not a
get it.
sustained
Right. So yes,
drop
it
in
goes down
testosterone.
because you just had a
Percentage.
release. Yeah, but that doesn't mean all of a sudden you're like, a cuddly little bear and you can't make fiery business decisions and you shouldn't have, a negotiation the day after you ejaculated because, you're so soft because your testosterone went
Yeah,
down. Like,
exactly. Yeah, like what is the clinical impact of this drop in testosterone, right?
Correct.
Like it's not
Correct.
translating into anything. But anyways,
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. I here to
My,
do like the
my
health. We're here for the health hot takes, guys.
Look, guys, we're just trying to report what we're hearing in the news. We're just giving you our two opinions from two board certified physicians. What do we know? But my 2 cents on this is to keep ejaculating. Okay.
Yeah, guys, no, do not retain the semen. Just let it go.
Do not retain it. No one wants it. Just let it out.
Do not back up the plumbing, please.
On that note, we think that you guys have had enough of scrubs and stilettos for this episode. We are going to be dropping some social media content, and we would love for you to chime in with topics that you would like us to talk about in the future, or send us any, social media content of health hot takes or health obsessions so that we can talk about those here.
And if you guys have any tips for keeping the romance alive, make sure you share it in the comments section, and hit like and subscribe. And we'll catch you on another episode of Scrubs and Stilettos. Have a great one.
Bye, guys.